Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Farm animal veterinarians are essential partners for livestock producers. We have some tips on plants that help you create privacy in your garden. And daffodils have been an important part of spring for some Virginians for centuries.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Strange's Florist in Henrico County. Virginia livestock producers need a good veterinarian to succeed. Burke Moeller reports that the field is wide open for new candidates.
As a farm animal veterinarian, Dr. Melinda McCall tends to a variety of animals, like these baby lambs, while other times she's checking to see if a cow weighing several hundred pounds is carrying a calf. Caring for farm animals has been a way of life even before she went off to medical veterinary school.
I actually grew up on a dairy farm in Southwest Virginia, so I've been around the cows forever, and I knew I wanted to still be in agriculture.
McCall has been practicing in Central Virginia for 17 years. Based in Louisa County, her practice extends to 15 counties in the surrounding area, a 60-mile radius. Cattle producer Shiloh Bates has her over to his farm in Fluvanna County at least twice a year.
She'll do our pregnancy checks on the cows, breeding soundness exams on the cows. We work hand in hand with our vet to do the health protocol, for our cow herd.
But McCall is one of a shrinking number of veterinarians specializing in large animals. There are no exact numbers on how many farm animal vets are left because most veterinarian groups track all employment figures, not just large animal vets. But farmers know it's getting harder and harder to find a specialist when they need one. Educators point to a number of reasons for the reduced ranks of farm animal veterinarians, but the decline in small and medium-sized dairy farms is one factor.
We have less of those positions, I think, in Virginia now since we lost a lot of dairies. I know since the almost 10 years I've been here back in Virginia, we lost half of our dairy clientele just in this area.
Dr. Sherry Clark teaches at the Virginia-Maryland College of Veterinary Medicine located on the Virginia Tech campus. The Lincoln Memorial University College of Veterinary Medicine in Lee County also trains future farm animal vets. Today's students could have a dwindling number of customers when they're ready to find work.
It's really tough for them to say, I'm going to be a food animal veterinarian, but only have 6 clientele. Now, if they're a large clientele, they might still be okay. But if it's the small 50 cow operations and you had 20 of those and now you have 5, it's tough.
Large animal vets often work with patients that aren't cute and cuddly. It takes a special type of person with a love for farm animals to do the job. Sticking a fully grown horse in the neck with a needle for a blood sample is an example of the type of work that could be daunting to some.
When you give people the choice, a lot of times, especially if you don't grow up in a production animal type of setting or around agriculture, it's hard for us to get people involved in this type of work. The other thing now is veterinary medicine's about 80% women. So to get women to come into this type of work and raise a family can be difficult because the hours are long. We do our own emergencies, so we get called out at nighttime sometimes.
But there are plenty of benefits too, and for McCall, they are what makes it all worthwhile. She says she likes not having to work in an office, and she's made a connection with the farmers she works with.
I like the people that I work for who are making a living and being good stewards of the animals and land. I like the lifestyle. Sometimes it can be difficult with the long hours and that kind of thing, but I like that I can take my daughter to work with me when I need to, and she gets to see all the things I do and the beautiful scenery. I mean, we need to be able to go out and think of this not as a job, but as a lifestyle that we've chosen. And I like that. You know, I like that my clients are kind of my family here.
Sometimes the job means putting on a yellow plastic arm sleeve and a headpiece that McCall describes as her Ghostbusters outfit.
A lot of what I do in my business is preventative and herd health. So this time of year, we're pregnancy checking cattle to see if they're pregnant. Most of our cows here are fall calving cows. So they have babies in the fall, so we would be looking now to see if they had babies, giving them any vaccinations, dewormers, fly and tick control that they would need at this time of year.
McCall's best advice to anyone wanting to become a farm animal vet is to get started when they're young.
You need to start with just helping farmers on the farm with their animals and cleaning buckets and scrubbing, cleaning stalls and scrubbing things, and that's where you start. And then you work your way up. If you don't like that part of it, if you don't know what normal is, you're not going to like the abnormal. So I think that's one thing I would like to say to young people. Get involved early. Get involved in 4-H, get involved in FFA.
Animal lovers are always welcomed in the field of veterinary science. Farm animal vets just have bigger patience, and they play a vital role in the production of the nation's food supply. The hours are long and the work can be hard, but one of the great benefits of the job is to help new life find its way in the world. In Louisa County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
In 2019, 44 states reported a veterinarian shortage, mostly in rural America. Older veterinarians are retiring, and new doctors often choose more lucrative practices in the field of companion animals. More women are choosing careers in veterinary medicine, even in large animal practices. But like other professionals, they want a good life-work balance. Many farm animal vets work for corporations instead of owning their own practices to assure a steady supply of healthy livestock. And the cost of earning a veterinary degree, combined with the fact that large animal vets typically earn less than small animal vets, adds yet another challenge to bringing in new practitioners.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, we're going to talk about privacy plantings. Stay with us.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Plants can be used to decorate your yard or to hide things you don't want to look at. Mark Viette has some suggestions for privacy plantings in the garden.
I know many of you have something you don't want to look at from your home or your garden. Might be bright lights in the evening. It might be a shed that doesn't look attractive, or it might be a highway that you don't want to look at. There are some great plants that you can use to create a screen so you don't have to look at something unattractive. And there's a couple ways people do it. Sometimes they plant one single row of an evergreen. It's all the same. It's monotonous, it's boring, and it could also lead to you losing that hedge or evergreen to some new disease or something that we don't know about. For example, a lot of people had blue spruce. Well, when blue spruce get about 20 years old, many of them start to die. And so it's unattractive. Now, we've used this screen to block an unattractive old storage trailer that's been here for 45 years. And the boxwoods here have done a great job in screening it. So I do recommend some of the boxwoods, not the little dwarf ones, but some of the boxwoods that attain a height that prevent you from seeing something unattractive. When you're thinking of creating a screen or something to block a view, sometimes you might only want to let it get so tall so you could still see the sky or the stars at night. You may not want to let it get 40, 50 feet. The other thing to keep in mind is the width of the area that you have for that screen. You know, a lot of people use Leyland cypress. I mean, they're great, but they get big fast. They can get 50 feet wide, they can get 60 feet tall. I mean, I got a lot of calls on the radio. What do I do with this giant Leyland cypress? Can I prune it back? Well, you really can't prune it back too hard. So it's important to pick the right type of plant for the right area, so in 10 to 15 years, it's gonna look perfect. I also recommend a mixture of plants. Let's say you were gonna put in 24 plants total. You might put 6 Leyland cypress, you might put 6 arborvitae, you might put 6 large growing boxwoods, and you might put 6 hollies. Keep in mind, years from now, you never know what kind of disease or insect that may cause damage to them, and you might not be able to control the problem. Behind me here, I have a dwarf Hinoki cypress, real slow growing, great for those areas where you don't have a lot of room. Right here, I have a yew. Many different types of yews. Some yews will grow over 100 feet in height. Some yews are flat and spreading. Some are very upright and vertical. So don't forget using yews. And then there's a lot of cypress trees that you can use that will grow well for us. There is the Ficifera cypress, known as the gold mop. There's Lawson cypress. So cypress do very well. You know, in some cases I might stay away from white pine. I do like the blue Atlas cedar though. That's a beautiful plant, and there's even a weeping form. By using different plants to make up your screen, you'll have different shapes and sizes and colors to look at. And that means you're going to have something attractive to look at instead of what you're trying to block with your screening. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Hi, I'm Tammy Brawley with The Green Kitchen. Coming up on Heart of the Home, fresh strawberry butter. Stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
There's nothing tastier than fresh picked strawberries in the spring, but sometimes it's tempting to pick too many. Chef Tammy Brawley shows us how to make strawberry butter to keep that springtime taste alive. From the Heart of the Home.
Hi, I'm Tammy Brawley with The Green Kitchen. We are here today at Old Tavern Farm in New Kent, filming inside their greenhouse because they are getting ready for spring. As you can see the seedlings back behind me. And what does spring mean? Spring means strawberries, delicious red strawberries. And today we're actually going to make some strawberry butter, and we're going to get started with that. We have got a half a cup of butter, or approximately 1 stick, and we have it softened in our bowl here, and we have a potato masher, quite a handy little tool in the kitchen. And then what we've done is we've chopped some strawberries. The one thing that's very important when you work with strawberries, there's a couple things actually, but when you get the strawberries fresh picked, you don't want to wash them till right before you're getting ready to use them. They will contain a bit of water. And so the other important thing is that it's somewhat dry when you get it into making the butter. So we've chopped it. We're going to take some of the strawberries. You want about 4 ounces or so, maybe 2 or so, to go into the butter. I probably chopped about 4 ounces, but we're going to go ahead and add it to the softened butter. As you can see, what I've done is I've taken the green off, and you just want to just do a rough chop on it to get it ready to go into the butter. You could use a food processor if you want to. That is totally up to you, but it's not something that's totally necessary. So those can be off to the side while we've added the other strawberries. The other thing that's important is most chefs, and particularly me, we use unsalted butter when we cook. So whenever you do a recipe like this, you actually do want to add a little bit of salt. So just a pinch or so. Unless you happen to buy salted butter, then you would not need to do that. So we've added the salt. Now we're just going to mash the butter with the strawberries. This is a delicious recipe. I make strawberry rolls as well, and we'll put the strawberry butter on the strawberry rolls, fresh hot out of the oven. So we've done pretty much with the masher. Now we're just going to use our spatula, get it nice and mixed in. Once you get it mixed to the consistency you want, then you can add it to whatever container you want to keep it in. I keep mine in a mason jar here with a lid, and it does freeze well. So you can put it in the freezer if you don't use it all within a week or so, or you can leave it in the jar in the refrigerator and use it. This is pretty much done at this point. Another little tip is if you feel like it's too wet when you chop it on your cutting board, just kind of dab it a little bit with paper towels. Makes it a little easier because you really don't want a whole lot of wet. Then you want to get some fresh sliced bread. I was fortunate enough to receive this loaf from a friend yesterday. Absolutely beautiful bread. And we're going to take it and spread it on our bread. Strawberry butter. Can you just imagine how this would taste on a hot piece of bread? All right, and there you have it, strawberry butter. Hopefully not a lot in my mouth there. All right, strawberry butter. I'm Tammy Brawley with The Green Kitchen, and we'll see you next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Most consumers don't know that today's common sweet strawberry was engineered in the 1600s by crossbreeding a wild Virginia strawberry with another variety from Europe. Today, strawberries can be found almost statewide every spring. They're raised on 290 acres on 313 farms and are one of the top crops for pick-your-own customers. Strawberry season can start as early as late April in Virginia Beach, and it moves west across the state as the calendar moves into May. Generally, strawberry season lasts a few weeks after Mother's Day, and it ends when cooler spring temperatures yield to summer's heat.
Daffodils are a first sign of spring here in Virginia. Ricky Gibson visits a family who's been at the center of the daffodil industry in eastern Virginia for decades.
Daffodils first appeared in colonial Virginia after settlers brought them from Europe. Almost a century ago, the citizens of Gloucester and Matthews counties created a cottage industry of selling freshly picked daffodils, and a tradition was born. The Daffodil Festival began in 1926 and will continue virtually this year.
At one point, there were hundreds and hundreds of families who grew daffodils commercially for picking the flowers to ship to northern markets in the spring. That has gone away pretty much, but there are small growers who pick the flowers and people coming to the Daffodil Festival. There will be vendors who will have bunches of flowers right ready for them, and so you can go home with a bunch of daffodils. Now, the daffodils are the main drawing point for the festival, and in the past we've had thousands of people come to enjoy the festival. There are arts and crafts, there's a parade, everything is decorated with daffodils. There are events going on. There is a daffodil show where people bring their flowers in and they look and select the most perfect flower, and they gently make sure it's all nice and looking up or straight at them, and they put them in vases and they're judged.
When the Daffodil Festival happens here in Gloucester County, normally it is at peak blooming time somewhere. Sometimes the the most of the festival takes place in downtown Gloucester. They close up the streets and everything. It's a great family festival. There are vendors, like 40 different vendors. There's food, there's music, there's a daffodil show and all of that. But then there's an opportunity to come here at Brent and Becky's, which is just 2 miles away, and the master gardeners often hire school buses to take people down to the farm where we live, to our home place, where it all began, where Brent's parents did it, and walk around the fields and they give tours and that kind of thing.
Brent Heath's family owned a daffodil business, and Becky was one of the organizers of the Modern Daffodil Festival. Today, their business is a combination of Brent's extensive home gardens and Becky's business of selling dozens of daffodil varieties to public gardens and home gardeners. They're always ready to receive visitors and celebrate one of nature's great wonders.
They're amongst the first things to bloom, and the color yellow is the color your eye first separates from the spectrum. They paint school buses yellow because it makes you look at them. Well, daffodils get you to look at them. And then it's a pretty carefree plant. As long as you plant them in the sunlight, they're plants native to mountain meadows, so they want full sun. They can come back for hundreds of years. And they're absolutely critter-proof. Nothing eats them. So probably I think nature's perfect perennial, in my opinion.
The other thing that is so special about it is that it is transportable during its dormancy because it's a bulb. And even though the bulbs look like little round, dead-looking things, they are very much alive, but they are asleep during the summer. And when our early colonists came over, many of the ladies brought some with them, sewed down in all of the petticoats of what they wore in those days. So they had an opportunity to bring part of their homeland with them to create their new homes here in this country. So it has been special for generations and generations and generations.
Oh, I forgot about fragrance. There are 4 different fragrance groups in daffodils. There's sweet, honeysuckle-like. There is musky, there's sweet, there's musky, there's fruity fragrance, and then there's a spicy fragrance. These big ones have somewhat of a spicy fragrance, and that's another added value for them.
He says there are between 3,000 and 4,000 different varieties of daffodils, and he has a good sampling of them on his property. They come in many different shapes and color combinations. Many are original varieties, and many more are hybrids created by crossbreeding. Each daffodil bulb creates at least 2 more, so they're very prolific. And caring for daffodils in the home garden is easy.
We use wood chips as a mulch, and then we grow other things in the same bed with them. Out in the field, I put cover crops of soybeans and sunflowers and Sudan grass in the summer. To have something growing there, roots penetrating the soil. The cover crops finish, we cut it down, that organic material gets incorporated into the soil, so we're continually feeding the soil. You want to plant them back about that deep and divide them if they fall apart naturally. Don't pull them apart if they're visibly attached. So you can dig and divide typically in May and in June and plant them right back again. And share the surplus with your friends, because the one bulb you planted, remember, is now going to be multiplied to about 20, 30 bulbs. So share with others and help everybody else to, gardening feeds the soul. Gardening for flowers. Gardening for vegetables feeds the tummy, but gardening for flowers feeds the soul. It makes people smile, makes people happy. One of the best forms of exercise is playing in your garden.
This year's virtual Daffodil Festival in Gloucester was held in late March, but daffodils will be in bloom a couple more months, and the Heaths will be there year-round, welcoming you to their farm.
The festival in 2021 will be a little different because of 2020 not happening at all, but it will be back again and be another happy place. This garden is open 6 days a week, 9 to 4, free of charge to come and walk around, and it changes all the time. So we welcome all children, dogs on leashes that like people, because we want them to be happy, but with everybody's welcome, all of God's creatures.
With enthusiastic ambassadors like Brent and Becky, look for daffodils to continue to be a vital part of the community for decades to come. In Gloucester County, Virginia, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we're proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia. Home in my heart always.
There are 30,000 roadway accidents each year involving cars and farm machinery. Farmers will be moving equipment for planting and harvest season. The slow-moving vehicle triangle in red and fluorescent orange colors and flashing lights allow for quick identification. When you see an SMV sign on farm equipment, slow down, prepare for sudden stops and slow turns.
Patience will save lives. Just remember, we all need to share the road, we all need to be responsible, and we need to be guided by the law.
Motor vehicle safety starts with you.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
They're out there on the front lines. The brave, the dedicated, the relentless. But there's another front line. The one that helps nourish all others while facing epic struggles of their own. So in this season of uncertainty, a few things remain certain. The rain will fall, the sun will shine, and together we'll continue to grow.